sound. Just check and go. Hello, everyone. We are live. We are live, everyone. It is me, Melissa D. Hall. And listen, I see y'all. Y'all are waiting. Y'all are ready. Everybody is tuned in. So welcome to a special episode of Wellness Wednesdays. All right. And I know we've been gone for a few weeks, but listen, we are back streaming every other week. And I have with me, y'all, the man of the hour, Mr. James Montague, okay? And Mr. Montague is a real estate developer, multi-millionaire, have to add that, soon to be billionaire. And hey, is it true? Am I lying?
I love it.
Okay, it's true. It is true. And listen, he is a good friend of mine. We've been friends. Listen, we've known each other for quite some time. See me do different things in the media. And now he is back to launch his book, Hood Minted. Okay. He called me late last week and he said, Melissa, you still doing your show? I just came out with a book. And I said, of course. Anything for you, Mr. Montague. We got to get this going right away. So it was the kick in my pants that I needed to make sure we stay consistent with this, because anytime they call it the GOAT, the greatest of all time, was to talk. You got to make space. Isn't that right, Mr. Montague?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So what I want everybody to do here, because we're going to talk about some principles, how hustle, faith, 50 cents built an empire. So what I want everybody to do right now is to go ahead and share this stream out. Okay. And I also do see some of our special friends to the show, Miss Belinda Drake. Okay, shout out to Miss Belinda Drake. She's a client of the Hall Insurance Group. Okay, also too, shout out here to I see we have Esiosa. Hello, Esiosa. Also, we have here Miss Nikki Newsom. Okay, shout out to Miss Nikki Newsom. And before we hop into this interview, and listen, if you're watching a replay, #replay. And before we jump into the interview, I just want to go ahead and make sure everybody knows to come to the Best AEP Ever conference. It's a free virtual conference that is happening for everyone who is a Medicare agent or wants to get to become a Medicare agent, to learn how to write 100 applications for Medicare season. Okay, it's a free virtual conference happening June 17th. Okay, all you have to do is go to melissadhall.com/events to register, or you could go to melissadhall.com/AEP to register. Okay, so make sure you all go and do that. For those of you all, hey, you all are maybe not trying to be Medicare agents, but you might want to be a client, okay, of the Hall Insurance Group, because we love our clients. Okay, you can go to thehallinsurancegroup.com. Nikki Newsom, she said, yes, I'm signed up for the conference. I know that's right, Miss Nikki Newsom. Can't wait to see you. Okay, come on for the conference. Come on to the Hall Insurance Group. If you're an agent, you want to be with the Hall Insurance Group, go to that website as well. All right. Deborah Shields, she says she doesn't see the live video. Well, Deborah, we see you chatting. We are live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're all here. Can everybody see us? Thomas Clark says, good afternoon, everybody. This is Thomas T.C. Clark from Greenville, North Carolina. Shout out to Greenville, North Carolina. We are so happy you're in the house. Okay. So listen, if you got your cell phones, you're on Facebook, make sure you go ahead and add everyone, at your followers, so everyone can tune into this. Okay. Everybody tuned in, because we are about to just get into it. All right. So again, for those of you all who do not know, Mr. James Montague is based out of Southeast Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. Hometown hero, born and raised. He owns several commercial developments as well as residential, from shopping centers, from also senior homes, low-income senior housing, right? He even just opened up a ranch. All right. So he has several projects, and now he's going to be doing a STEM center with the city of Durham, North Carolina, a multi-million-dollar project. And one thing that I could appreciate about Mr. Montague is that he did not come from a silver spoon in his mouth. This is a man that you all are seeing of hard work. So without further ado, how you doing, Mr. Montague?
I am doing fantastic, and thank you so much, Melissa, for allowing me to come on your show and speak to your people.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, Mr. Montague, what inspired you to write this book? Okay, because I'm sure this is something that people have been asking you to do for a long time, and you finally got down to do it. And I do believe that everybody has a book in them. So, what inspired you?
I just felt like it was time. For the last 30 something years, I've been in business, and people have always asked me, when are you going to write a book? And
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to it later. And later never comes. So I said, well, let me just go ahead and take the time to do it and make the sacrifice to put my knowledge in a place where people can actually see it, reflect upon it, learn the lessons that I've had to learn without having to go through the trials and tribulations that I had to do. So in other words, just give them the cheat sheet.
Given a cheat sheet. And that's indeed, this book is a cheat sheet, you all. Again, it's called Hood Minted. It's an easy read. It's only 77 pages. It's very thin, okay? But it's power packed. And I love an easy read. And also, one thing let's talk about, first of all, everybody, you can get this book off of Amazon. Okay, this book is sold on Amazon. If you put in Hood Minted by James Montague. Also, this book is also sold in Walmart now. Is that right?
Walmart as well as Barnes and Nobles.
Okay, I love it. So let's get down to some of the information in this book, which you have used, okay, to become successful. All right. And one of the things, right, and again, y'all, this is an easy read. You can go pick it up. But from some of my notes, right, one of the things you talked about is meditation, right?
Yes.
That is one of your principles. How often do you meditate?
Every day.
You do?
First thing in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm up meditating.
Okay.
At that time that I can actually get at one with myself and understand what message God has for me for the day.
Okay.
A lot of times, if you're woken up by an alarm clock, that's a shock. It's a shock to the system. So what I do is, it's my habits that make me successful. It's not my emotions. It's not my feelings. It's what I do on a daily basis that makes me successful. And most of the people that are successful, they don't just get up and when they feel like it. They have a regimen that they try to stick to. And meditation is powerful for me because a lot of times if you are dealing with a lot of people on a daily basis, there are a lot of different energies that come your way.
Absolutely.
So if you don't know how to compartmentalize and not let every energy affect you, then you'll be just at to and fro here and there with the wind. When I get up that early, what I do is I get centered and I become one with the universe and myself and ask God for guidance for my daily path. So
okay.
It's very
I love that. I just want to say hello to Miss Alice Freeman here. Nice to see you, cousin. That's my cousin out of Lumberton. Shout out to Andre Allen. All right. So I hear a lot of successful people talk about meditation. And if you meditate, could you please let us know in the comments if you meditate? I know I do meditate. I used to do it all the time, but I need to get back regularly to it. So what is the most profound thing that you have ever learned or message you have ever received in meditation?
So the most profound thing I've ever received in meditation was actually to go outside and stand in the grass and take your shoes off. See, we have to, when I was a kid, the worst thing that you could be would be called either get a whooping or be grounded. Grounded is almost a punishment, right?
Okay.
For the untrained mind. But for a person that actually understands the connection that we have with our planet, with this earth and this soil, we got to understand grounding is the most positive thing that you could do because there's energy in the soil. So
yes, it is.
There's energy in the soil. It is.
It is. You know where else there's energy at too? That you all don't know? In the trees. Like people like make fun of tree huggers, but trees, when you hug a tree, it does take away negative energy. That's a real thing.
That is a real thing. And people clown tree huggers. I don't know why people clown tree huggers. You're doing your thing because that tree actually gives you life. You actually breathe out something that feeds the tree, and the tree breathes out something that feeds you. So there is a connection there, and that
Yes, it
connection
is.
is through the soil. So the most profound thing I think that we need to understand as people is that we have a direct connection to this soil. And soil, there's so much intelligence in the soil. If you think about it for a second, soil does something that nothing else can do. Soil actually can look at a seed. If you put a seed into the ground, the soil can assess what type of seed that is. It can then bring the necessary nutrients and environment to that seed to make that seed grow. And that's a part of nature. So if that's a part of nature and we're a part of nature, then it'll benefit us also to come in contact with the ground and become grounded. And that actually makes your meditations and your prayers more powerful.
I believe that for sure. I definitely believe that. So let's talk about the 10 strategies. Okay. I'm not going to go over all 10 strategies that you listed, all right, for success.
Okay.
But one of them you said is that you mentioned having an insurance advisor. Okay. Talk about that, because as you know, obviously that's my career. I'm an insurance advisor.
Right.
But I have heard people say that wealthy people don't need insurance. Okay. And I've
Right.
heard a person who's wealthy, who's a millionaire, has said that before too. So let's talk about that.
So insurance, and not just the normal state. So when I talk about insurance in my book, I'm actually talking about using it as a tool. I'm not
Okay.
just talking about something that you have. I'm talking about something that can actually, a certain type of insurance. I read a book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Very
Mm-hmm.
enlightening book. And it talks about how the Rockefellers have used insurance over the years, and wealthy families and wealth and family offices have used insurance as a tool to not only protect themselves, but to protect the wealth for generations to come. It's just not something you have just so you can go to the hospital and whatever. It's good to have that type of insurance too, but you need to research and see what type of insurance is best for you in your situation. I want to have generational wealth. I want to pass down an inheritance to my children's children. So I want to
Absolutely.
have everything insured against loss, so that we're never really bothering the principal. We're only dealing with the insurance or the interest. So
Absolutely.
we're not ever touching the principle of the equity that we have. We want to insure ourselves against that. That's
So
what we're
you
do.
do have insurance.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, very good. And yeah, and so the type of insurance you all that he is talking about is what we call universal life insurance, where it's supposed to let you participate in the market, like the upside of the market, without having to participate in the downside. And if you would like more information on that, I could definitely help you with that. But that's pretty much what he is talking about. And that is the thing. And if you go to the hallinsurancegroup.com, we could definitely give you information on that. But I just thought that it was great that you saw it as a tool, because what insurance is designed to do definitely is to transfer wealth in a tax-free manner. Okay. Because insurance is one of the only financial instruments that you do not have to pay taxes on. So even, let's say, God forbid, let's say it's an IRA, right? If you have an IRA, even if it's a Roth IRA that you're giving to your loved ones, right, where you haven't paid the taxes, guess what? That's going to increase their income, right? Where it changes their tax bracket. So a person could literally, be making $80,000 a year, right? In a, let's say, a 22% tax bracket. But if you leave them an IRA, right? And let's say it's $100,000 or $50,000 in it, right? Let's just say $50,000, even $30,000. The tax bracket from a $80,000 person and $100,000 person could be a 10% difference. So now they're paying over 30% of taxes, right?
Right.
But versus insurance, when you leave somebody life insurance, because it comes from a loss, okay, just like a lawsuit or a car accident, okay, it is no taxes on it, okay? So it is a smart way to transfer wealth by using life insurance. And yeah, it just is. And so a lot of wealthy families, like the Rockefellers, like even Master P, the rapper, he started his company because his grandfather left him, okay, his grandfather left him $10,000. Okay. So life insurance is a great way for you all to transfer wealth. And the good thing about life insurance is that to get, let's say, $1 million policy, you don't have to give an insurance agent or the company $1 million, right? That's something you could do depending on what type of policy with $200 or $300, depending on when you get it. So Monty, I see here you got a fan. Is Raj Patel. Shout out to Raj. Okay, my man James. Say hello to your friend.
Raj, my man.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Raj was actually one of the people that helped out at the ranch last year when we did the STEM camps.
Okay.
Raj, great guy. Yeah. And he does. I think Raj does insurance as well.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
I saw that. I looked at his profile, and just for you all tuning in, we are discussing Hood Minted. Okay, the book by James Montague. It is How to Hustle, Faith, and 50 Cents Built an Empire. And James Montague is a multi-million-dollar real estate mogul. Okay, so let's talk about this, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the fact of 50 Cents built an empire. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes. You know, I want to talk about doing things with no money.
Right.
Okay. How do you feel about that? Because I see a lot of people who get a dream or who they get a vision, right? Yes. And they like put themselves in debt to do it.
Right.
Right. But they're like, it's going to pay off later. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that.
You do?
Yeah, because when you don't have anything to start with, per se, to the standards of everybody else, a lot of people out here saying that, well, when I get enough money saved up, I'm going to start a business.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, kind of. That's not how it works. What you have to do is you have to figure out a way to make it work. I started out cutting hair in my mom's kitchen at 13, 14 years old for 50 cents a head. I didn't have a lot. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have a lot. It wasn't intentional on my part to say, well, I don't want a lot. I'll just start with zero. No, it's what I had. Sometimes you have to actually start with where you are and start with what you have. Assess what your strengths are, look at what your weaknesses are, and understand, okay, I don't want to focus on my weaknesses. I want to focus on my strengths. And if I know that I'm good at one thing, whether it's cutting hair, doing hair, cutting grass, whatever it is, washing cars, whatever it is, start with what you have. Offer and add value to other people. That's the way that you can be successful. Add value to people. Find out what the problems are. And I looked around in my community, and a lot of people couldn't afford to go and pay $5, $10 for a haircut at the time in the 80s. When haircuts went up, I'm pretty sure haircuts are more than that now. A guy told me the other day a haircut is like $50. And I'm like, woof. Okay, good. If you can get it. But back in the days, it was $5 or $10. A lot of people in the projects couldn't afford to pay $5 or $10 for a haircut every week. So I offered a service to be able to service those clients, and I got good at it. And then I said, okay, what else can I do? How can I add more value? So I started doing ladies' hair, which increased my income. And then I said, okay, then what can I do next? And I started having, visions about how to serve the community through offering affordable retail space. And I built my first shopping center in 1997. And then now, we're doing retirement homes. I have an apartment complex we built called Elders Peak. That's where we're at right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've been here. So
I've been to Elders Peak, and it's, honestly, having my own senior home is a dream of mine. So it was great to find out. I've been there before we met. And so it was great to find out that you owned it.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So we surpassed 21 years this year. We built it in 2004. So we celebrated our 21st year, and we were able to here serve people that are 62 and up with affordable housing. And it's just been a pleasure and an honor to get to know some of these great folks and their families. It's like a big family here now.
I love that. I'm sure it is. So somebody asked the question, listen, if you all have business questions, questions about your business, what you should do in your business or real estate, Mr. Montague is here. Go ahead and drop him in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to him. So Miss Belinda Drake, she asked a question. She said, I don't know if this is getting away from the topic, but how does insurance compare to putting your residential property in an estate? Okay, so let's talk about that. So when you put your residential property, let's say not just in an estate, but in a trust, Okay, because usually some people, they put their property, they try to do it in a will, right? And one thing about a will, even though it might be quote unquote cheaper or less complicated, or you think it's just something you write, the thing about a will is that it's public information. That's number one. So it's not private. Also, the second thing about when you get a will is that it still has to go to probate court. Okay. So your family still isn't going to get that right away. Okay. However, when you get a trust is number one, it's private. Okay. So everyone won't see your business, which I found is very important because believe it or not, there are people who sit around waiting for wills to be filed in a court so they can challenge it. Okay, like you're shaking your head because you see that you've seen it probably before. Like that's how long lost cousins come and things like that. And so when you have an estate, right, or you do a trust, it's actually private. People don't see it. Number two, it avoids probate court because probate court can take years, and also probate court is very expensive. And when you have a trust, it goes right through. The judge honors it. It can't be challenged. So that's that. And in insurance, right, that could be used as that's a cash benefit, right? So your house has nothing to do with insurance. You can use insurance to pay your house off, but it's a cash benefit. Emily Claypool, she asks, hey, are you able to show the book again, please? Here you go. All righty. This is the book here, and you can get it off Amazon. Hood Minted by Mr. James Montague. All righty. All right. So what I want to talk about, and you gave some great advice regarding the money. Okay.
Yes.
I want to talk about this, right? So one of the principles you put up or you talked about was gratitude. Okay. So I hear a lot of successful people, they always talk about gratitude, being thankful, blah, blah, blah. Right. And to me, it sounds kind of cliche to be grateful. Like, how does that get you successful? So let's talk about that. Why is gratitude important? Because it really sounds cliche, but it obviously everybody says it, so maybe it's something to it. Just like waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
Talk about that. Mm-hmm.
So I look at gratitude a little differently. A lot of times when people are talking about gratitude and being grateful for something, it's always a positive, life-changing event. I mean, you won the lottery, you got a new job, you're grateful for, meeting a new person or this and that. You got to be grateful even in the hard times because the hard times come to make you stronger. So when you are successful, you don't just become successful one day. You have been through some stuff. If anybody tells you that, it was so easy for them and they're successful and they would never went through anything, they are lying to you or they're delusional. So I've become grateful even when there are challenges because I understand that those challenges come in to make me stronger. They come to show me who I really am because it's not about, who you are on social media and who you are in front of everybody else. What are you like when you are alone in your quiet? What type of decisions do you make when they're not out in the public? How can you, are you spiteful and been vindictive and bitter in your alone times? Are you planning and plotting to take people down and all that kind of foolishness? And then you are a nice person out in front of everybody else? You have to become a grateful person to be able to go through challenges and understand that you can come out unscathed. You're going to have battle scars because business is war.
Yes,
So
it is.
it is war, but you have to go through. Even though you're going through hell, you got to remember you're going through hell. You're not going to hell. You're going
I like that. That's y'all. Let's put that in the comments, right? You going through hell. You're not going to hell.
right.
Okay.
And
I
then
love that.
when you go through and come out the other side and look back, then you understand that, man, I went through that. What lessons did I learn coming through that? How can I help people not go through the same thing I just went through? Because that's a blessing in itself.
You froze up, Mr. Montague. But y'all, I like that. I like that, y'all. You froze up, but you just said something very powerful. You're going through hell, not to hell. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna
Right.
save that one. Put that, y'all. If y'all like that in the comments, put you like that. Okay. Alrighty. So go ahead. You kind of froze up there a bit.
Sure. So when you're grateful, when you're going through the storm, God looks at that and understand. I know what people's religious beliefs but my strength is in God. My power is in God. Everything comes from that source for me.
Yes.
Even going through the challenges, those things God allows me to go through in order for me to be strong. Because it's easy to have faith or say you have faith when you ain't been through nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
what are you like when you're going through? That's who you really are. And sometimes those challenges come to show you who you really are.
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about this. Okay. I read your book and I definitely empathize with this, right? And hello, Keyshawn Alexander. Okay. Hello. Denise Berry said that's an old saying in my family. Okay, this is my first time hearing it. All
Yeah.
right. Deborah Shields said we will all go through hell and we are not going to hell. That's right. Deborah, she's part of Team HIG. And also he said, Thomas Clark said, love that. Also, don't spend major time with minor people. That's right.
There it
That's
is.
right.
Love
That is a big thing, okay? Because we've all had to separate ourselves from people who make us question our dreams and question ourselves, or I would say a lot of energy suckers. They'll try to get on you because you're hot. Then next thing you know, you're not that hot and they are. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a real thing. And then someone else said here, Teresa A. Harris, I like that. I'm going through hell, not to hell. Amen. Amen. I love that. So I'm happy it's encouraging the people out there. And Deborah Shields said, know that a setback is a setup for a comeback.
There it
Yes.
is.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, again, these things to me kind of sound cliche, but at the end of the day, they work. Like you really have to look at things this way to kind of make it, right?
Absolutely.
And one thing that I do like about your book, Mr. Montague, is that your book is written in real talk. Okay. And I have this right here in the bottom. It's scrolling on the bottom to go ahead and get your book on Amazon, Hood Minted. Okay, if you all want to know more about it. And it's written in real talk. It's written in real speak. Okay, a little bit of ebonics. Okay, and then you even translated some of it. Alrighty, so I can definitely appreciate it. That means you wrote this book yourself. You did not use a ghostwriter, just the editor. Is that true?
That's it. No AI involved. No ghostwriting. Every single word of that book was written by my hand. These hands right here. There was no ghostwriter. I didn't pay nobody to do that. My sister edited it for me because I had some crazy language in there, but everything was written by me.
Okay, well, we can appreciate that in a world full of AI. We can appreciate that. Okay, Jacqueline Mason Jones, she says, because of you going through, you're able to share so much wisdom with others. Yes, indeed. I love that. So let's talk about this. And this is something in the book that I really felt it. I felt it. And I don't know if you know which part I'm talking about, but chapter 4, the shopping mall.
All right.
So just to kind of give y'all a brief synopsis of the shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask you for the details, but the brief synopsis is this. He ended up in $1 million in debt, okay, from this shopping mall. He bought this shopping mall, and then they called in a loan. He wasn't late or anything. And it was worth like 1.8.
No. It was worth 4.1, and I owed 2.8. So I had like $1.3 million in equity. But I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you talked about how they called it in and you just sat and cried.
Yeah.
And that just touched me because I could imagine myself crying. Okay, I felt you pull it over that car.
Yeah.
Even though you're the man I see today.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So Andre Allen said, rock bottom is not a bad place to be. So let's talk about it, because I was trying to figure out if you were on time and everything, how they just going to take your building? Like, let's talk about that. Okay.
Right. Well, make no mistake. I mean, people always say, well, I own this house, I own this car, I own this real estate. You don't own it until you pay your last payment to the bank. The bank actually owns your house, believe it or not. They are the lender. You are a borrower. So until you make your last payment, they actually own that.
Okay.
So they can call the note at any time if they want to. I mean, and I wasn't in a position to fight them. I didn't actually even know they could do that. Banks call notes
Yes.
all the time. They can do that. Accelerate your note, and they can do it. And that was right before the 2008 recession. And a lot of people didn't. We didn't see the 2008 recession coming, but it was rough. If anybody was around at that time, 2008, they called it recession. It was depression for a lot
Yes.
of people. A lot of people lost a lot of stuff, and it hurt a lot of people. But I'm a grown man. But when it came when it came down to it, that pain is pain. And when you go through something like that, and it took you years to build that equity, uh, it can hurt you. And it actually it was damaging at the time, but it taught me a lot of lessons. Uh,
Okay.
it taught me a lot of things as far as how
So
I do this now. Yeah,
yes, and so let's talk about that because one of the things that you said on there is that you didn't tell anybody. You
right.
didn't ask for help, and I'm sure shame played a bit of that. And it's like I could talk to myself as being a business owner, and if anybody else out there is like this, a lot of times I won't necessarily ask for help per se, especially while I'm going through something. A
Right.
lot of times you don't even know who you can ask for help. If you even know anybody, especially like that, who even has the money, you
Right.
don't want your business to get out there, different things. So, who would you have asked for help? What would you have done different, if you were thinking, right, at that and not necessarily got so caught up in your emotions, right? What would you have done differently?
Well, number one, I would have not felt sorry for myself because that's actually what ended up happening. I felt sorry for myself. Woe is me, and I was ashamed and I was embarrassed. So that played a major role in why I didn't really reach out to anybody because I really didn't want nobody to know my business. I mean, we're taught to as men, we're taught to you know not seek help or counseling, or we're taught to okay, you the man, man up, and just take it. And that is not to our benefit sometimes. So I would have seek help. I would have talked to people that had the resources, or I would have looked at organizations that would have came in and maybe partnered with me, so I wouldn't lose it. Because I'd rather have 50% of it than lose the whole thing and then have $1 million judgment on me. Because that's what actually ended up happening.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about that. So you had $1 million judgment from this whole thing, right?
Yes.
And you said you did not claim bankruptcy.
Right.
Now, what made you, because you personally guaranteed this,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And I want to talk about that as well because they always say, like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, do you still personally guarantee deals? So, like, what made you say, this is $1 million? I'm not going to claim bankruptcy. I'm going to stick this out when you could have did that and this would have been off your credit in like 2 years, right? And or is it 2 years? I don't know, but
I think it's more like
seven.
7 years.
Yeah. So, like, what made you say, "All right, I'm going to pay this off. I'm going to stand and fight"? Like, tell us about what you were thinking, or do you wish you would have just filed?
No, I don't wish I would have filed. I was advised by an attorney that I should have, but I didn't want to do my creditors like that. And even though I felt like it was wrong, uh, I think other people would have been hurt because I already had other properties. I think if I would have done that, other banks that had nothing to do with this transaction would have been hurt in that process. So what I did was I just fought it out. I'm a fighter. I said I'm gonna pray about this thing, and God showed me I got you. I know it's rough right now, but I'm gonna take you through this, and you're gonna come out the other side.
Sure. So let's talk about that because you said it's other banks and they would have been hurt, right? So being in business, right? I mean, insurance is as cutthroat as real estate.
Right,
Okay.
right,
A lot of people who I meet, and I'm sure you meet too, they're like, who cares about other people? It's business. You know what I mean? Like, but yet you're like, hey, other people banks would have been hurt, even though really the bank hurt you.
right.
Um, how, what was your thinking then?
Well, my thinking was is that I can get through this, and it wasn't instant. I mean, it took me actually years to actually get through it. What I did was I did a deep reflection.
Yeah.
After watching a lot of TV, because I ain't gonna lie, I was hurt for about the first year or two. I ain't do nothing. I was like, I was distraught because when you lose over $1 million like that, I don't care what anybody say, that hurts.
Yeah. So you went into a depression for a while.
I went into a straight up depression for a while. So I sat around and watched TV and ate too much, gained
Okay.
like 30 pounds. I mean, I'm being real with it. So
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, I've gone through things in my business as well. As
yeah,
you see, listen, I've lost 40 pounds. So, I've been there. I sat around eating personal pan pizzas. So I do. I love a good personal pan
right,
pizza for Pizza
right,
Hut. So,
right,
we all have our thing and you just
right.
kind of wallow in it. So I get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had to do that for a little while, but then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Nobody feels sorry for me.
Mm.
And then honestly, think about it. People are so kind of like engaged in their own problems. Nobody got time to think about you. I mean, honestly, let's be real with it. If everybody's out here working, they doing their thing, they got kids and families, they got problems, they got bills. Nobody's sitting around saying, "Oh, I feel so sorry for this person." You know what I'm saying? And not mean it. They might say it in a sarcastic way, but no, nobody cares. So get up and get to doing something. If you don't like your situation, change your situation. If you don't like your personal reality, change your personality. And that's what I had to do. I had to become somebody that would ask for help when needed. I had to become somebody that if asked for help to deliver the help if I'm in a position to do so. You know what I'm saying? I had to be the kind of person that was not, hoarding information and knowledge that could help other people. And that's why I came out with the book. I
I
could have
love
easily taken this book, to the grave with me as far as the information and stuff, or passed it down just to my kids. No, I wanted our community to have a chance and a leg up, and I wanted to give them a cheat sheet so they could establish multi-generational wealth and pass it down to their kids.
I love that. And one of the things that I will say too is that, when you're successful, right? Like you sometimes feel a lot, especially when things are big and public. Okay.
Yes.
Like that shopping center was big and public.
Big and
Okay.
yes.
Big and public. And
Actually, it was my biggest shopping center at the time. Actually,
yeah, it was. I mean, absolutely. And Ashley Dixon, she said that's real. She's part of Team HIG as well. And when you're a business owner and something is big and public like that, it's like it makes you have shame. You feel ashamed, you feel embarrassed, you feel like everybody knows, right?
yeah,
And you had to kind of work through that, especially being a man,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and I'm sure you still in some way had to show up because you have a family, you know
yes,
what I mean, that you still had to provide for.
yeah, for real.
Yeah. So I definitely get it. And the fact like let on the last note, did something just click one day and you just came out of it? Like what was it? You know what I mean? Like that finally said, you know what, I'm about to get back out there. Or maybe even having the strength to do it again. You get what I'm saying? Like what was it? Mhm.
I think it was a mixture of two things. Number one, I was actually sitting and I was talking to somebody, and it was somebody that I respected, and I was telling the person about kind of what I've been through, and
Mhm.
and they're not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a good friend of mine. And the person just looked at me and said, "You want me to feel sorry for you? You know what I'm saying? You
Yes.
lost $1 million. You lost $1 million, and you want me to feel sorry for you? I will never touch $1 million in my life. I will never own anything that's worth $1 million. And you're telling me you lost $1 million. Therefore, you know how to build whatever you want to build and make it back. But you want me to feel sorry for you." So the look that he gave me, and then when he said that, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's a good point." So
Yeah.
then what I did was, that's a very good point.
It's a very good point. I mean, and I think like that's one thing as entrepreneurs, we got to give ourselves some credit
Yeah,
because like, I've had my share of losses too. You get what I'm saying? Several. Okay. Several. You're going to, like, I always tell people, like in business, you're going to get screwed. It's just part of it. It just happens.
Correct.
It's part of it. People gonna betray you.
Yeah.
They gonna steal from you. All slander you. Like anything that's gonna happen, intentionally try to trick you,
Yeah.
promise you things and never do them.
Right.
Put funny stuff in a contract. Because they know they can get you.
Yeah.
Play by different rules. You know what I mean? And I mean, I went through something, and I'll just share this here. When I had my television show, right? You were
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Hired a person to do it. They never turned it in. Okay.
Mhm.
That
Right.
was a whole big thing. Had to go ahead and I had to have people come and re-record it. Okay. And
Wow.
I had like, 200 people there at that taping. And
Wow.
it cost me a lot of money. All of this was self-funded, right?
Wow. Wow.
And it was so embarrassing for me, because it's so embarrassing for me to go back to people and tell them the situation, right? Like I had to go look you in the face, somebody I respected, tell you what happened, and have you come and ask you to come back and do this again. I
Yes.
had to look a lady who's 110 years old, who took a risk coming out her house, right, to see if she would come back. And it was like I was very depressed, but I still had to show up at the time, because it's just something I knew I wanted to do, and I had to press on, and I wasn't going to let this stop my destiny, something like that, because it's going to be a lot of speed bumps in the way. And if you really want it, you're going to find a way to make sure that it happens.
Right.
And one thing I can say that experience taught me was that when it comes to art, the rules are different.
Right.
And I think like a lot, and that's what I always teach, especially like in my branding classes and stuff. People think that, and I know this might be a little bit off topic, but it's still on topic because it's a lot of business people on here. So people think that if you hook up with a photographer, or if you hook up with a videographer, right, that you pay them and then that's it. That's not it.
Right.
Okay. They can still lay claim to that work. Okay.
Mhm.
That is why you have to have them sign. They call it a work for hire agreement, where they cannot lay claim to it. Right. And to give you all an example, Jennifer Lopez was sued by paparazzi for posting her own picture on Instagram. Now,
Wow.
yeah, she was. And she was sued because they took that picture, even though it was her,
Wow.
right? That
Wow.
is still her work.
Mm.
Okay. And
Right.
so that is how it works. So if you get a brand photo shoot, right? And you think, oh, well, I'm going to use these photos so I can, put on a t-shirt, even though you paid this person to do it. Okay. It is a whole other clearance process for that. And hence why now, like whenever I take pictures and stuff, especially since I'm published a lot in a lot of different places, I make sure that I get the clearance and the proper authorization where I own my image, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I lost a lot of money learning that lesson, but now here I am, I'm doing TED Talks and bigger things. That lesson has saved me so much
Mhm.
grief, because I've had things that have got published and taken other places. But if I would have stayed connected or didn't have my paperwork in place, I would have never been able to do those things, or you always have to go back to them and get it cleared and money. It's just the whole thing.
Mhm.
So sometimes the lessons, even though they hurt, right, they come out for your good.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, all right, you talked about this, doing your due diligence.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that. What does due diligence look like? Because people here, they don't really use that word due diligence a lot, especially when you're just getting started.
Mhm.
So let's talk about, what does due diligence look like for you?
So due diligence looks to me like, if I'm looking at doing a project, let's just say it's a real estate development project.
Mhm.
I buy land. So if I buy land, just give an example. I looked at a piece of land that was about an acre and a half, and it was a crazy deal. I think the person wanted like $30,000 for the acre and a half. I was like, man, I got to buy this land. Well, come to find out, and I learned this the hard way, is that if you buy land that's got a creek running through it, That might be called a Neuse River buffer, a Neuse River stream.
Mm-hmm.
And those streams uh, have what's called a Neuse River riparian buffer. So that means that wherever that stream runs, you can't build on 50 feet this side or this side of that stream.
Wow.
So you might see a piece of land, it's like, oh wow, this is a great piece of land. But if it's got a stream running through it, you can't build on that land. So if you don't do your due diligence, then you're just going to buy it and you're going to be sitting on land that you can't build on. So that's an example of not doing your due diligence when it comes to real estate development. And so when it comes to someone else, let's just say you want to start a mobile detailing company or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just say you're in a city and you say, well, there are a lot of cars in Raleigh or a lot of cars in Durham. I'm just going to start a mobile detailing business. Well, if you don't research, okay, how many mobile detailing businesses are there in the city? Do they have it wrapped up? I'm not saying don't start. I'm just saying, do they have like a couple of hundred running around here? I mean, is it to the point where, the prices of the services going down because they got so many of them, or food truck or whatever it is? You do your due diligence and research the market before you make any move. Because once you make that move, your money is it's tied up. And you could have, if you would have just tweaked it or modified your offering, it could have been successful. But you have to understand and do your due diligence and understand what is in that market, and then what can you bring and have a niche in your market where you can actually offer a service or a good or valuable that's different than what people are doing. So you modify it a little bit or make it better in a certain way, or go to a different target market. That's all a part of your due diligence to find out, your opportunities, and then also figure out ways to not lose your money.
I love that. I love that. Listen, for those of you all who just tuning in, we are talking to Mr. James Montague about his new book, Hood Minted, How Hustle, Faith, and 50 Cents helped him build an empire. And you can get that on Amazon and scrolling at the bottom. I'm your host, Melissa D. Hall, Wellness Wednesdays. And listen, y'all, we do this every other Wednesday. We're going to go to every week, but right now we're at every other Wednesday at 12 p.m. If y'all are loving this conversation, go ahead and let me know in the bottom, okay? In the bottom. And if you want to come to the next Wellness Wednesday, you can just go ahead and leave a comment. We'll make sure we get your information. So, Mr. Montague, right? When you talk about due diligence, you know what comes to me? Asking the right questions.
Right.
Asking the right questions. I cannot think about how many mistakes I have made because I did not ask the right questions. Okay. Right. And sometimes you don't know what questions to ask. Right. Just like me with the whole different contracts from, for photography and videography versus just a traditional business contract. Mm-hmm. I did not know. So let's say a person wants to do something new, right? Mm-hmm. How do they start off to even finding the right questions to ask when trying to do due diligence and make a good decision? Somebody said, Gwendolyn Warren, she said, great information. Just shout out to Gwendolyn Warren. We appreciate our viewers. And y'all, please share this out. And if you've already shared it out, could you do an @followers or @highlight on Facebook, please, to let your demographic know? Deborah Shields said, great information and questions. Gwendolyn Warren says she wants to be included next one. You can. And if y'all know a good guest we should have on, we want sponsors, all the things, we want to take it up a notch, let us know. So let's talk about due diligence.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure. So
or asking the right questions. Excuse me.
Asking the right questions. So asking the right questions actually saves you not only time, but it saves you money. But a lot of people say time is money. Time is not money.
You don't think so?
No, time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. As a matter of fact, I don't even think money is no comparison to time, because you can get more money. However, you can't get more time. You can't get more time. You only have the amount of time that you have. And once you waste that time, it's gone. It will never return. Until they invent something else, that's what it is. So, and when I say time, when you ask the right questions, I'd rather ask the right questions up front than to find out that I have the wrong answer at the end.
Right. So how could a person find out what are the right questions to ask, right? Yeah. So for instance, about that whole creek thing, right? How did you even know to ask that. Like, how did you know? Because if it was me or to other people, we like, oh, we got a creek in the back, we got lakefront property, right? We would
Yeah,
never think that this would be an issue.
right,
I'm just saying, right? Like,
right.
how did you know?
So I mean, I do a lot of research. I go to something now called YouTube University. Uh,
Okay.
if I'm curious about anything, I will go to Google or YouTube. See, and I know that sounds cliche, and I know it sounds like just listen. I grew up in a time where we didn't have Google, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have internet, we didn't have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We didn't have any of that stuff. So it's like if you didn't know something, you just didn't know it unless you want to look in a dictionary. And a lot of times, those dictionaries that we had and encyclopedias, that's old information. So we didn't have that to leverage. Now you have the internet, you have Google, you have Chat GPT, you have all these things to leverage. And when it comes to asking the right question, all you got to be now is curious. That's all you got to be. You don't have to be a professor or a doctor or a specialist. All you have to be now is curious and understand where to go to get the answer for any question that you have. And
Okay.
dig deeper. If you get an answer, dig deeper. If the answer ain't good enough, dig deeper. Or if you don't like the answer that's coming up, change it. And that's the beautiful thing about today.
I like that. I like that. If you don't like the answer coming up,
Yeah.
change it. I like that. That is something. That's a new way of thinking, y'all. Don't y'all think? Write that in the chat. If you don't like the answer, change it. I like that. Denise Berry, she just said, I'm in California right now and I'm enjoying this. Thank you both. I purchased the book on Amazon this morning. I love it. And Raj Patel agreed 100%. Time does not equal money. I love that. I love that, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Okay. So I love that. I love what you just said. So question for you, okay? And
Mhm.
we're gonna wrap it up here in a few minutes, okay? What I want to know is, let's say you're trying to make a decision, you're going through you're doing your due diligence and stuff, right? How
Yeah.
do you not get caught up in analysis paralysis, right? Because I know a lot of smart people who will not make a move.
Yeah. So that is what you're experiencing there is fear. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way around it. You can call it whatever you want to call it. A lot of times people say, "Well, I'm just making sure I make the right move." A lot of times people are afraid. And I'm not saying jump the gun and make the first thing to come to mind. I'm saying once you've done your due diligence and once you have prayed about it and feel good about it and have meditated on it and understand that a sense of peace is coming over you, right? Then it's time to actually make that move because you can always kind of like once you make the move, you can actually always kind of like modify and adjust the course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fear.
I
And
love.
fear, yeah, fear. The name of my company is F7, and it stands for Faith in Action.
Okay,
Mhm.
I love that. So that's
And
what that means.
F7 stands for Faith in Action,
So
and it's
with
based it's based off the premise that a just man falls 7 times but gets back up 8.
okay.
Right. So you're gonna go through things in life. It's in the Bible. You have to go through things. We have to go through these things. These trials and tribulations don't come to break you; they come to make you stronger. So, you can have and suffer from analysis paralysis and never plant the seed that God gave you to plant. There's a book in the Bible that talks about it was three men or something like that. God gave each of them a certain
A
amount of
talent.
time. Yeah. And the man that actually made the moves, there were two men that made the moves. One of them had 2 talents and he invested in the market and he got 2 more. So he had 4 total. Another guy had 5 talents. He invested 5 and got 5 more. The guy that had 1 talent, right? He buried his talent.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how deep that is. So talent is another word for money, but also talent
It's
is
talent.
that's your talent.
It is, right? It
It's
is.
your,
It just hit me. It just hit me the other day. I was reading this story again. And I was like,
yeah,
they call it, and it's so funny because it's right there in our face.
talent.
And yeah,
Right.
and it's a talent for real. Like they
Yeah.
never talk about that part of it. They always talk about how it's money, but no, it's your actual potential. It's your God given gift that many
Correct.
people don't show,
Right.
right?
Right. And analysis paralysis is you burying your talent.
Mm.
If you bury your talent, right, and you hide your talent, the world cannot benefit. That means you're not wasting just your time, you're wasting God's time. You're wasting the seed that He gave you that He wants to manifest through you because we are PowerPoints for God, right? We are points of power here on this planet. God wants to be represented here on this earth. In the
Yes,
most
he does.
magnificent way, yes. So He wants us to be His points of power here on this earth. He wants us to manifest the things that He wants to be put on this earth. So if you take the vision that God gave you and you hide that vision and not plant it, but you bury it, you just bury it. You don't plant it. You put it in a box somewhere. You put it in a closet, and you just say, you know what? I'll get to this one day. Once I figure everything out, then I'll start. No, that's analysis paralysis, and it's fear. And you cannot have fear and faith at the same time, just like you can't have light and darkness at the same time. Those things cannot exist at the same time.
I love that. No, they definitely can't. Listen, y'all, he's talking good, isn't he? So listen, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and put talent in the comments. Go ahead and put talent in the comments again. For those of y'all just tuning in, we are talking to Mr. James Montague, real estate multimillionaire, okay, author of Hood Minted. You can go ahead and get it on Amazon. All right, How Hustle, Faith, and 50 Cents. Okay. Helped him build an empire. Thomas Clark, he's talking about talent. Ashley Dixon is talking about talent. I love it. I love it. So you all, if y'all have any questions y'all want to ask Mr. Montague or myself about business or anything, go ahead and put it in the chat. We're going to hop off soon here. So now is the time, okay? I'm sure he'll probably start having coaching sessions, right? That's the first step, that book. And, you know, those coaching sessions aren't going to be, you know, how much is your book?
The book is only $19.99.
His coaching sessions are going to be $19.99.99. Okay, not 19. So if you have a question, go ahead and do it. Deborah Shields says talent. Who's this? Tier says talent. All right. Teresa Harris says talent. All right. So listen, chapter 5. Okay. Mm-hmm. You talk about, I don't think it's the words, but you talk about reframing your mind. Okay. Right. And it is, let's see here. Okay. Cut the tangled parachute quickly. Okay.
Yes.
And in it, you say, this is, let me just read this excerpt from the book, you all. I'm going to read you what he says. Okay. All right. Once you've identified a harmful pattern, it is not enough to tinker or ease out of it. You must cut the cord completely, just like the skydiver does in a crisis. Otherwise, your new life, your backup chute, won't be able to open. To truly break free, you have to become a different person. Here's a real life example. Let's say someone is a heavy drinker and decides to stop for medical reasons or to improve their quality of life. The common mistake is saying, I'm trying to stop drinking. What does that imply? That they still identify as a drinker. Instead, they should say, I'm not a drinker. That's a powerful, decisive identity shift. Okay? So it means you are no longer someone who is interested in drinking. You're not someone who is merely resisting temptation. You've moved on. You've become someone new. That's the first step in transforming your habits and your life. Cut the tangled chute cord so your new self can rise. I like that. I love that. So that's very good. A lot of times we hear about positive talking, whatever. How does saying things like that in that way, right, create a new identity? How does that work in the universe and with us, and how does it work for you? Let's talk about that.
So kind of how it works for me, and I think it could work for other people, is, you know, I say live there, right? Mm-hmm. And people want to put that in the comments because that's very deep. What I'm about to say is deep. So
okay, everybody, listen up. Listen up, everyone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whoever you decide that you want to be in life, right? Envision yourself 10, 20 years down the road. Whatever that looks like. If it's a multimillionaire, billionaire, whatever, or somebody just got your family in order, or somebody's got a relationship that's just incredible, whatever that is, you need to visualize what that is, and then you need to feel that. See, it's not just about talking; it's about what you feel, right? If you say that, oh, I got money, but you feel broke, guess which one is going to manifest in your life? You're going to manifest poverty because it's all about what you feel. So what we got to do is we got to start learning how to feel. Take yourself somewhere else, right? Live there in that place, wherever that is. Feel that. Get all the juice out of that. Squeeze all the emotion out of that, right? Understand that that's who you truly are. And then walk yourself back and say, okay, this is the real me. I just happen to be here. But what kind of person do I need to make myself in order to deserve to be that person? Who do I need to become in order to be this person? Right. And then you speak it into existence. I see somebody comment that said, you speak it into existence and then you walk into that existence. Right. And then you walk it back and say, okay, this is the first step that I need to take. This is the second step I need to take. Right. So you have to live in that place and you have to become so familiar to that person, that is that image that you imagine yourself to be in, that you're no longer comfortable with who you are. You understand what I mean? You have to become uncomfortable in order to grow. When you plant a seed, you know what the first thing that happens when that seed goes into the ground?
What?
That seed goes to the ground, it disintegrates. That seed is no longer that seed anymore. That seed, the first thing it does, it reaches out. You see, the seed, we look at a seed and we see a seed. The seed feels that it's a forest. That's what the seed feels. We look at a little seed. That's not what the seed feels. The seed feels that it is a magnificent tree with fruit coming from it. So it doesn't say, well, I'm just a little seed. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to relax. The seed says, oh, put me in that dirt. Watch what happens.
I love it. It wants to go in the dirt.
It want to go in the dirt. It want to get grimy. It wants to, because it understands that it cannot become what it's meant to be to this full manifestation of itself if it only thinks about what it is right now. We get so caught up into what we are and where we are right now, the current situation, your current circumstances, that you get paralyzed because you are living in fear. You're saying, oh, this is going to take me out. But what you should be saying is, put me in that dirt. Put me in that dirt. Watch what I do.
I love that. I love that. Listen, y'all, we are having a talk here. This is Wellness Wednesdays. I'm your host, Melissa D. Hall, and we are having a talk here with Mr. James Montague about his new book, Hood Minted, y'all. And just to let y'all know, we have Wellness Wednesday every other Wednesday at 12 o'clock, and I could not talk about wellness without talking about financial wellness, mental wellness, right? That's all part of being well. So we had Teresa Harris. She said, visualize, feel there, live there, and walk it back. Yes, Lord, that's right. Ashley said, put me in that dirt. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to ask you one last question, okay, Mr. Montague? And one of the things that I liked about your book, when we were talking about it, you said it's not just about reaching success. It is about staying there. Okay. I don't know. I hear something in the background.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Right now.
No problem.
Okay. I got another interview that just started. I'm sorry. I had it on mute. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No problem. So what I want to know from you, Mr. Montague, is let's say it's somebody on here who they've reached some success or they like where they're at, right? Because I know a few of the people on here today. What is something that maybe they've never heard before that can help keep them at the top?
Right. So I'm sorry, read it again. It broke up.
Okay, no problem. I said, what could a person who is maybe already experienced some success or already at the top in some area in their life, what is something that they could do to stay there? Okay, that they might not have ever, heard someone tell them before.
Well, what they need to do is actually find people that are market leaders in the industry that they choose. Whatever it is, whether it's law, whether it's real estate, whatever it is. I mean, it could be construction, whatever it is. Find a group of people that are at the next level, where you up a little level and higher than where you are, and then you need to start associating with those people. You need to start adding value to those people so that you become one of them. So I'm always looking for people that are on the next level so that I can be a part of those groups. If you're the smartest person in your network and group, then you got the wrong network.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how do you, so when it comes to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're always, and I can say this just as a person who networks, right? And networks on a high level.
Mm-hmm.
How can you add value to people who already kind of, where you need something from them?
Well, I mean, it's always a way to add value. There are always, and see, when what I do is I study successful people,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody that's successful has an issue. Don't think the lives of these people are perfect. They might have a better life. They might do what they want to do and do what they feel, but there's always something that they're looking to do. For instance, you've got some of the wealthiest people in the world, the Gates Foundation and Warren Buffett and all those guys. You might think, well, they're the richest people on the planet. They don't have a problem. Well, if they didn't have a problem, they wouldn't have created they created some fund to give out money to poor people. I forgot what it's called. I think it's some kind of promise or pledge or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things they want to do is they need to find projects that they can back. They need to find people that they can affiliate with that can actually help them give back. For example, when we did our hospital project in Oshobo, Nigeria, about 10 years ago, we got a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh,
To
wow.
yeah. In Oshobo, Nigeria, we partnered with the Chinese government, the city of Asheville at the time, and then we did a project, Children's Birthing Hospital, because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had a grant. We used the grant to build a hospital. So there always are opportunities for you to network with people that are on another level. You just got to figure out how to actually add value, and it's not easy, but it's worth it.
I love that. I love that. Deborah Shields, she said, people who have money still want more.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. They do still want more. And also, too, there are other things besides currency as well. Because, like you said, they were looking for people maybe who had good reputations already, right?
Absolutely.
A good reputation is worth money, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
always talk about this too, attention, being known, right? So
Right.
I know somebody personally. He is a self-development coach.
Mm-hmm.
He is out of Tennessee. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
to rent a place, very nice office in Nashville, prime location.
Mm-hmm.
He did not necessarily have the money to rent this place, but what he did have was an opportunity. He had training. So the person who owned the building, he was a multi-billionaire, but no one knew who he was.
Right.
And he wanted to increase his social profile, right, to get into coaching and things of that sort, but no one knew who he was. He was that millionaire next door that no one knew. And so this man was able to cut a fabulous deal with him to help him raise his social profile, because that
Yeah.
guy did not have as much money as him, but people knew him, and that's
Right.
what that man wanted. So it's other ways to add value.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, y'all. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Montague. We
Thank
thank you so much for coming. You all, if y'all tune in 2 weeks, okay, we are going to be back with another phenomenal guest. So make sure you all share this and tune in to Wellness Wednesdays. Make sure you go ahead and sign up for the Best AEP Ever conference that is happening June 17th next week. Okay, go to melissadhall.com/events to register. It is free. It's all about how to write 100 applications for Medicare season. 100 applications is $66,000. Okay, isn't that a good opportunity? Listen, if they buckle down for 54 days, okay, the programs are free. All right, everybody has to get Medicare. They buckle down, help 100 folks, 12,500 people turn 65 a day, 45 million already are. They can make $65,000 guaranteed in 54 days. Don't you think that's a great opportunity, Mr. Montague?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard of something like that before?
Never.
Okay. Well, that's what we're doing with Medicare, just helping people. Deron, shout out to Deron McGee. Me and him go way back to high school. Shout out to Archbishop Carroll High School. Okay. All right, Carol Tigers, right? Shout out to you for joining. Okay. Listen, It's a great opportunity, and we're going to teach you how to write 100 applications, and it's free. melissadhall.com/events. Even if you cannot attend live, you can go ahead and get the replay. And if you're curious about becoming a Medicare agent, or you want to be a client, reach out, or even a guest on the show, right? Or a sponsor. Want to get yourself in front of people. Thank you so much for the valuable nuggets, Monty. Thank you also, Melissa. A pleasure, Teresa. Hope to see you soon. Deborah Shields said, awesome program. I took some great notes on tools I can use in my business. Let's go. Even if it's just changing the mindset. James Montague, there you go. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. That's right. Okay. Raj, he said, thank you, Melissa and Monty. You're welcome, Raj. Hope to meet you. Listen, y'all, we thank you so much. Any last words, Mr. Montague?
No, again, I'm just thankful that people tuned in. I'm really just amazed at the support we're having for our book, and invite you all to come to the ranch. And
yes, tell us about this ranch. When can we come to the ranch? I want to come to the ranch.
Yeah, just hit me up. Go to our Instagram page, which is F7 Blackstone Ranch on Instagram, or you can reach out to us on Facebook, or just come to the ranch. And we're doing weddings out there. We're doing STEM camps. Raj has been a part of the STEM camps.
Okay.
We're doing family reunions out there. We're gonna have our boots on the ground type days out there. It's a big thing now. So bring your fans, and we're just gonna have a ball. So just reach out to us.
Okay, we sure will. I want to come to the party. Said okay. Melissa, let's do it. I'm licensed in Medicaid. Oh, come on aboard. I got some clients for you. Let's do it. All right. I love it. All right, Monty. All right, everybody. Listen, tune in. Was two weeks. What? That's 14. That's what, the 25th. Okay. We back at it at 12 o'clock. Okay. And from there, hopefully I'll be going live weekly. Y'all, I can't wait to connect with y'all. Thomas Clark, he said, great time here, you guys. Awesome information shared in this session. Wonderful. Y'all share out. They said, where is this Blackstone Ranch? Because we have people from all over the U.S. here.
So it's 4505 Scotland Drive, Mebane, North Carolina.
Okay, in Mebane, Scotland Drive.
Yeah. So okay, I just put the address in the chat just then. And it's the
okay.
It's called the F7 Blackstone Ranch.
Man, let's have a party out there.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Y'all heard it first. It's exclusive. We about to have a party out there. Have a great day, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to Wellness Wednesdays with Melissa D. Hall. See y'all soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.